Tide must be in.
Here we are.
Yep.
Gordon the Gopher. Well, Gordon, who we are. Gordon the
Can I
Gopher.
say where we are?
Yeah, you can say that. But I'm going to say who we are first.
Alright, we'll go.
So I'm Dave the Rave.
Gordon the Gopher.
Gordon the Gopher.
And
Dave the Rave Roving the Rock.
Roving the Rock.
On YouTube and on AarranSound.com Digital Radio. Right, go for it, Gordon, go for it.
No, I'll just say where we are. The Weco car park.
The Weco car
The
park.
famous Weco car park.
Which is the place we usually meet at if we're just going for an easy run, because it's the one place that's in between where you live at Sannox and where I live in Whiting Bay. It's right in the centre. We can go shopping and stuff as well. It's handy, but it's got flat trails basically, hasn't it? It's got circles,
hills.
We've got a lot of choices here.
Yeah, a lot of choices.
We've got the most choice here. But for today, this has been chosen because
I've had runner's term, a wee injury.
Yeah.
Which kind of hampered me for a bit, so I'm just getting better now, and I thought just keep it kind of not too hilly, see how I get on. But I've been running fine without too much problem, but it's been a bit of a pain. My fitness has definitely suffered the last 2-3 weeks.
Yep. So how did you get the injury and what is it?
I think it's sciatica. And the only thing I can think of is I've been doing too much, doing a lot of digging,
right.
And I did a 3.5 hour hill run with my brother.
Oh yeah.
And it seemed to come on after that. So either one or the other, or a combination.
And old age.
And age. Yeah.
And your brother got injured as well recently, so that probably gives that away.
And doing stuff that you think, because you could do it, 20 years ago, you should still be able to do it now.
Yep.
And be fine.
Yep. And we're finding out that we can't, the hard way.
Well, because we don't look after. Well, we do look after ourselves, but in a way I don't, because I don't follow all the usual stretching routines, warming up, cooling down. Because lifestyle patience and lifestyle hampers all that.
Yeah, just get out and run about, don't you?
It's a poor excuse.
Yeah.
Well, do you not?
I don't warm up or stretch or anything like that. I just put shoes on. The only compromise I make, I start off slightly slower than I end up, but that's purely because my achy bones and joints aren't going to allow me to go fast at the beginning anyway. I don't even have a choice.
Well, that's us both then.
Yeah, that's right. We both start off like crippled.
Today will be exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay. So
anyway, that's my little
tale of woe.
Tale of woe, which hopefully is a reducing tale of woe.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a couple of massages, and that's been good, and that's helped. But I need to start getting some stretching stuff done and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try, but I've said that before.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Well,
I'm just gonna run about.
Well, I'm gonna try. So ask me next week or 2 weeks from now, am I still doing the stretching? And then you can decide that obviously I was lying through my teeth.
So in this case, we never actually got to where we're going, did we? You're telling us.
Well, because it's a preamble to where we're going is why we're going this route. Yep. Because it's I did mention it's flattish. Yep. It's mainly off road, and it should be fairly easy going. So that's why. And the route obviously we're thinking is Glenrosa. So I'm thinking maybe up to the wine port, the castle, the Goatfell entrance, and then up Glenrosa on the other side of the river, and
anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise. I think last time we did it clockwise.
That's right, and it should be nice and dry this time as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so top story for today. Since we're talking about running, I'm going to stick with the subject. I'll get my sheet here because I'm going to get the name of the person. Yeah. This is a story that was in the news yesterday. Top Scottish ultramarathon runner and GP, and by the way, world record holder, who only broke it in February, so she's in form. World record holder for the 48-hour run world record of 255 miles in 48 hours. I don't know if that's an all-comers or a women's world record. The point is she's got the world record. Disqualified from the Manchester to Liverpool 50-mile ultra race after This race, by the way, took part on the 7th of April, okay? And we are on the 19th of April. So she placed third in this race. So she's had the third place prize for 2 weeks. And then she downloaded what she ran on Strava. And someone noticed that she was travelling at 35 miles an hour for part of it and travelled a mile in 1 minute 40 seconds. Right? So they investigated that.
Yeah.
And in the end, it emerged that she spent 2.5 miles sitting in a car instead of running. And she got the third prize, which she's now lost. And she was only caught because she downloaded her Strava.
You'd think she would have realised that.
Definitely. But more than that, you'd think that someone who's a world record holder, who's a top, possibly the top Scottish ultramarathon runner, wouldn't be jumping in a car. My goodness. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry if I've caused any upset." That's a quote. That's her only thing. I mean, she jumped in a car and now she's been disqualified. And they're talking about maybe disqualifying her either temporarily or permanently, because that's a heck of a thing to do.
Well, I better check your round Arran run then, Dave.
I think you'll find any of it at any speed at all.
Scrutinise it and see if you've got any, what is it? I've noticed, like kilometres in 250 or something like that, on your...
It just got slower and slower and slower until it nearly stopped. I can tell you that. It was a downhill slide all the way through it. And and by the end of it, it was really, it was agony. Yeah. I wasn't going very fast, I can tell you that. I was just holding on my fingernails. So that's the story there.
And she's a doctor.
A doctor, world record holder, everything.
And she's a cheat.
A total cheat. Why would you do that? I mean, unclaim the prize. You didn't win it. I just can't get it. I just couldn't do that. Even when there's, she doesn't need the glory. Oh, no. Just amazing. Her only excuse was she wasn't feeling very well on the day, so she jumped in a car.
Right.
That was a shocker.
Well, that obviously, you don't know whether that's true. She could just say that.
Yeah.
But, still.
She still did it though.
Doesn't matter if you jump in the car.
Doesn't matter what the reason is.
Because you're ill or not, or it's cheating.
It's cheating. Really badly cheating. So the fourth place got third place now, but she would have lost that. She'd have missed that out.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a story I heard one time about this guy. There was an unsolved murder, and they'd arrested this guy, and they didn't know if he'd done it or not. They couldn't pin it on him, but they thought he'd done it. I read this a couple of years ago, and it was in the Runner's Raw magazine. And anyway, in the end, he got nailed because he downloaded a run on Strava, and the run on Strava had taken him from his place right to the person's house where he'd killed them, and then come and run back again. So he downloaded the run. He just couldn't help it. He downloads all his runs, so he downloaded that run as well. He was at the right time, the right place where the person was killed on this Strava run, and then they found out he was a hitman, and they followed the rest of his Strava stuff, and they found he'd done multiple killings and put them all on.
But my Strava runs download automatically.
No, mine don't. I have to put them on the computer. I have to connect it up. I can choose.
When you think they just automatically download.
Mine's a wired in.
Ah, right.
So it's a choice.
Mine automatically down. So I better not go and murder anybody.
No, probably not. And also, you can make them private or public, and that's the other thing. Right. You can set your Strava to.
Yeah, well, that's
Well, mine's public, but If sometimes I did a walk the other day for 5 miles, and I've had it on the Strava, but I didn't download it because I just like to put runs on, so I chose not to put that one on, and it's not on. So it didn't take that. It's a choice. But anyway,
so first bit of shocking news.
That's it. But first bit of shocking news. The next one is, and this is the story where I've realised just how lucky we are to live in this country and on Arran as well, because this was about a month ago. There was a big story in the news about the right to roam in England, and these people were protesting because the last place in England where you can freely roam and put up a tent and wander about without permission was Dartmoor, and they were taking away the right to roam and wild camping in Dartmoor, and it was the last place in England to still have it. Nowhere else in England can you do that. You've got to seek permission, and then of course they can charge or just refuse it. So you don't have any rights. And of course, I looked this up because we just accept that here. I mean, and I looked it up today, and the freedom to roam in Scotland was secured under the Land Reform Act 2003, which gave access to all land and water throughout Scotland to everybody. So you can roam anywhere. Now, I already knew this anyway. You can roam anywhere. There's no place you can't go, and you can camp anywhere. You know, apart from someone's garden, obviously. You know, but there's a reasonabableness about that. But you can. Yeah. But I mean, there's Goat Fell there, right?
Garden and you say, oh, you can't. Well, I've got a right. That's freedom. You know, I'm not causing any damage.
Well,
you know,
there's no penalty as such for it anyway. You just can get told to leave if you're in the wrong place. It turns out. So
well, on the subject, just that's quite interesting because we had some people camping up in Sannox, and they were there for about, I reckon, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And when I asked them, they said, "Oh well, we're from down south and we can't camp anywhere there."
Right.
I should have said, "What about Dartmoor?" But I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know at that point that you could camp in Dartmoor. So obviously they came up here and thought, well, we can't camp in England, so we'll go and camp in Scotland for 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
While camping.
Yeah.
So that's.
That's only. I suppose.
So we might get loads of people from England come up here and just camping.
You could say that was a good thing or a bad thing, I suppose.
Already. No, it'd be a good thing, but
because it's more tourism and stuff. It's good for Scotland.
It'd be good for them to find out the actual. There is rules to wild camping.
There will be, because at what point are you camping or just living there? You know,
apparently,
6 weeks, 6 months.
In Scotland, you're allowed to camp in one place for about 3 days.
Is it? Right.
And then you've got to kind of move on somewhere.
Move on, or at least be able to move on, or just be reasonable about it.
So there is a kind of, but I don't think it's like backed by official law. But that's if you go into the camp. It says wild camping you're allowed for 3 days. But it's heavily enforced.
Yeah. Which reminds me, by the way, I was thinking about this, well, right now, actually, I'd forgotten. Look, we can camp anywhere in Goat Fell. We're looking at Goat Fell and Brodick Bay, right?
You can camp at the top.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
The bottom or the side. Anywhere you like, right? Actually, I just thought of this. My wee sister, Morag, is this weekend undertaking a cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats, 1,200 miles. On her own, with all her stuff on her bicycle, all her camping stuff, and she's not planning on booking into anywhere. So she's got a heavily laden down bicycle, right? Now, actually, just thinking about it, I mean, obviously that's commendable that she's doing it, and she's doing it to raise money for multiple sclerosis research.
Right.
Our mum had multiple sclerosis and she died at 49, so that's the connection there. And she was in a wheelchair at 30, so that's why that's close to her heart. But I wasn't planning on talking about this, but actually when I think about it, apart from the fact that's quite something to do, you know, and she's going to do 50 miles a day, so you know it'll take a long time, probably the best part of a month. 1,200 miles.
That's nearly around the island in every day.
Yeah, with all that stuff on it, right? Yeah. And you've got to set up your camp and everything like that, and that's quite tricky. But also, when I think about it, relating back to this story,
campsites,
I suppose that'll be it, eh?
Well, yes.
In fact, it will be, because then you get electricity, charge up your phone, all that kind of stuff, get a shower. You would head towards campsites, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't asked her that question. It never occurred to me that actually England doesn't have that right to roam thing.
Because here you can.
Yeah.
You don't realise.
I just thought she'd just stop and put the tent up, and in fact, she probably can't do that.
And as a runner, you see when you go down south, you know, we can just get out the door and run anywhere. Yeah. When you go down south, you can't. You know, you just see all these public footpath across fields. There's no path. It's just the public right of way. So when you go running down south, you forget these kind of things as well. You can't just go across somebody's field, or you've got to follow the actual public footpath. So
I haven't looked this up, but somebody said that 90% of the beaches in England are privately owned and you can't go on them. Now, could be a completely different percentage. That was just what I was told in casual conversation. But just when you even just think about the fact that a lot of beaches, a lot of them certainly, are private, and you can't go on them. Even that
again,
just seems.
To be honest, when I've been down south, I've not been on many beaches. You're right. I've never. Up here, any time I go in Scotland, I find a beach and I'm on it. But
so you don't need it right away here. You can just go on any beach you like.
I don't remember going any beaches down in England.
We could run right round Arran on every single beach and nothing wouldn't even occur to us, right?
Yeah.
So this is the bigger picture here. You're very restricted there, you know. I looked up this Dartmoor thing, and what did the government say about it? We've no plans to change anything. The public have got a right to roam on national parks and other rights of way. So really they're completely restricted. And this is a big deal for me actually when I think about it. If I was ever thinking about leaving this country, that would stop me. I'm not even messing about. If you don't have the freedom just to go where you want, there's some basic freedoms here. Say what you want, think what you want, go where you want. And someone's taken that away, and that's a given for the majority of the British people, that they can't go where they want. I don't want to be living there. I think that would actually stop me leaving this country. So there we go. Scotland is actually the best in a major way, and I never really have took it for granted.
Yeah, we've kind of taken it for granted.
Haven't we? Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, we've got total freedom here, and I've always thought that everybody had that, and I didn't realise that it's actually just us. Freedom! 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 They can't take away our freedom, apart from if we go down south, that is. So there you go. That's a big one. Worth a bit of thought, isn't it, if you're going to think about leaving here?
Well, yeah.
So I'll do all my serious subjects. I've got one more serious subject here, not do any funny ones.
Serious
We'll save the funny ones for next time. We'll just do a serious one this time.
Right, a serious one.
Okay, this is the last one, right?
Right.
In South Uist, there are 12, I mentioned this just when we get the card, didn't I? In South Uist, there are 1,200 deer, and they're having a big meeting with all the council and the public and things, because they're considering currently killing, or culling as they would say, but I'll use the word killing, all 1,200 deer because you can catch Lyme disease from them, and because that's dangerous to people. And well, I'll not even say what I think about that. I'll ask you what you think, Gordon the Gopher.
Well,
that's every deer on Uist, by the way.
Again,
elimination.
There's a way you're looking at this is so the deer are a danger to people, but obviously on a deer's perspective, then somebody going around with a gun shooting them, the people are a danger to the deer. So in a way, it's kind of no different. And you know, they probably cull loads of deer on Uist to keep the numbers down. So the people are a danger, but do the deer get a say? No.
Well, the deer won't get a say because it's actually, I don't know if I said this, but it's every single deer on Uist. All of them.
Yes, well, that's what I mean.
There won't be any left.
They haven't got a say. But obviously with Arran, I mean, I do. Again, I'm not a big the ethos of deer culling. If you bring deer to Arran, and but I can kind of understand it.
So do I.
As long as it's done properly
and not
professionally
for sport.
And not
for sport.
I hate people, not officially in the gamekeeping business to be coming over. That's what they like, coming over
just to
and
shoot
paying to shoot
fun.
Deer, just because they've got the money to do it.
Well,
I'm not a big fan of that.
I'm really not a fan of that.
I can totally get the deer the culling, as long as it's done. I'm not not to 100%, but as long as it's done properly, correctly, and with people that know what they're doing.
Yes. No. So well, as we've said, so they have to be killed because there are no predators. But for me, well, would you be killing? That's the question we haven't really answered yet. Would you think it's reasonable to wipe them out altogether to avoid Lyme disease? And the word reasonable is the key one here, because you can see that Lyme disease does do damage to people, but also you're talking about the extermination of. I mean, what? So anyway, carry on. What do you think about that?
Well, I've had infected ticks. I've had ticks all my life because of my lifestyle.
So
running in the hills, I get ticks regularly through the year. So, and I've had Lyme's disease.
Right.
But I wouldn't there's no way. No, I've not had Lyme's disease. I mean, I've had infected ticks, so you've been vulnerable to Lyme's disease. But if I did get it, I wouldn't want all the deer in the island to be culled.
No, so you don't think that's a reasonable response? Do you think that's a too big a response to the threat?
Well, I think that's overkill. Pardon the expression. As I say, I don't know the figures of how many people have had Lyme's disease on US compared to like Arran, but I know there's been cases on Arran.
It's probably disabling if it's left. It can be a lifetime. It can be.
The deer are, again, talking about why we are on this island. I'm on this island because of things like the deer. Yep. They come right down. I see them daily. And
didn't you feed one out your hand?
I fed one out. I fed loads out of my hand. Yeah. So I wouldn't, even if I got Lyme's, I wouldn't be. Oh yeah, I need to cull all the deer. Because they're here. We brought them here, and if they moved them off the island, if that, but I wouldn't want them culled. No.
Right. So you think it's too big a response?
I'm definitely. But I choose to go run out in the hills.
Yeah, that's right.
With shorts on.
It's down to us to check ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to check ourselves.
Some folk don't, and they probably don't even never had a tick in their life. But I choose to be up the hills with the deer, with the sheep, and it's my choice.
It's the word reasonable. I learned it in law. Okay, you apply it to so many things. Was the response reasonable for the threat? For me, the response is not reasonable. No. I think to kill everything, because at what point do you stop? Do you kill all the sheep just in case someone nibbles somebody's toe or bumps them over by mistake? At what point do you stop? And so the word reasonable is applied, and add 1,200 deaths, a total extermination. I don't think so.
Well, I don't know the figures of the US, but I suppose if they said, well, I don't know the population of the US, but they said 20% of people on the island have got Lyme's disease, massive 30, then you might have to say, well, why not? You could reduce the numbers,
keep them
in an area,
and put signs
and then say to people, you go, at your own risk.
That'd be better.
Well,
actually, that'd be better.
That's good.
We should be in charge. We should be in charge.
That's the landowners that need to sort that all out, don't they? Stop the deer from going. Yeah.
Okay, I have had ticks. 2 of them in my belly button, and 1 on my private parts that I had to get off.
Everywhere.
And I'm going to put a funny story in here, because when I got one in my belly button, both times you couldn't get them out. So I went to the canteen and I got this guy, Mighty T's his name, right, Alan Tannehill. He was the only one to do it. I asked all the peer hands, big top peer hands, who's going to get this out? There's 2 knives. I want you to cut this thing out, because I couldn't get it out. It's right in my belly button, right in it.
Knives?
Only way I could get it out. So it's a serrated knife, and I said, I'll take any amount of pain, I need this out of here, right? And I couldn't get it out. And so I said,
you get tweezers?
I didn't have them. Does that work, right? Does that work? Right, so there's nothing, there's knives.
First aid kit?
I just had knives. It's okay. The point is,
every first aid kit should have a pair of tweezers in them.
Well, it was just I was in the canteen.
Especially now when you live in Arran.
A butter knife and a serrated knife. Right. So I says, right, my tea's the only one that would do it. All the rest of them balked at it. And
I bet you if you had one in your private parts, you wouldn't want some guy with a butter knife and a serrated knife to try and get out of your privates.
That one you could get to though, but this was buried. See, this is buried. You can get in. Anyway, it's right in, right?
Yeah.
Right in. Anyway, he ends up with these 2 knives, right? And he's trying to get it out. He says, Dave, I can't get it out. So I've got my back to the canteen door when you come in, right? It's just me and him in there.
Right.
And I'm standing like this, and I've got my top off, of course.
Right.
And he's down here.
All looks very
at my belly.
Suspect.
Right, it's worse. It gets worse.
Very suspect.
So he's got his head down here
very
with 2 knives.
But
nobody can. And he's anyway. He's got his head down, and someone comes in the door.
Right.
They can only see my back.
And
just as he's down there, and I'm going, Mighty T, go for it, push it more, harder. I can take it, Mighty T.
You must be
give it all you've got, and like that.
You must be exaggerating, Dave.
I'm serious. And there's 2 knives. Someone came in the door. I think it was Sassy Fee, and then she screamed and she went, ah! And she didn't know what Mighty T was doing. Well, it didn't get much better when she saw the knives in the belly button, and it was extremely sore. But she got a fright. It's okay. It's just him.
Have you not demanded there's a set of tweezers in the Calmac first aid kit?
I can take it, because did you know that
runners? It's not the point whether you can take it or not.
I can take the pain.
You can take the pain, but he could have been like totally
a nutter,
inept.
Oh, inept, right? Okay.
Bloody,
I don't know if anybody's actually professionally qualified to cut ticks out your belly button with a serrated knife. But he did it. He did do it. It was extremely painful, but I braced myself. And the thing is, did you know that runners are 50% more pain tolerant than non-runners because they push their bodies through so much pain they become more used to it? Did you know that? We actually are tougher when we're running than when we're not.
Yeah, I get that, because I hurt myself and somebody says, oh, you bleed? I say, oh, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I say, oh, hammer. You know, yeah.
And you're full of adrenaline as well.
And you're like,
you get endorphins, and that
blood
helps.
coming in my head, and I'm like, oh, you've cut yourself. God, you've cut yourself. Have I? All right, okay, so I have. Yeah, but, yeah, I know, yeah.
Not immune to it, but you can tolerate it better. Especially when you're running, because you get the endorphins and adrenaline, and they're designed to mask pain, so you can go further and faster.
Yeah.
Right, we're at Glenrosa Bridge. There's a bridge in front of me. There's looking spectacular. There's Gordon the Gopher in front of me, as it says himself. And we've got a wonderful day for it. We were debating the clothes earlier. It's turned out to be no bad, isn't it?
Yeah,
not bad.
Chilly, but I'm alright.
We've come across 3 adders, and you were just telling me it's Kate Sampson that was tracking that last adder from, was it a head ranger of National Trust?
Yeah, she's tracking one. She's been tracking one for half an hour.
Half an hour.
She's still over there tracking it.
Yeah, so she is. You can still see her.
It's gone from like there all the way to there.
And the blue pools.
I don't know if you see them.
All the way up there. That's where the snake's going. That's a good few hundred yards.
Yep.
And I can see her just now on the side of the hill, just following the snake charmer, or snake follower. I wouldn't fancy that job if it goes wrong, but hopefully it won't. It never has. She said she's never been bitten. But that was a surprise, wasn't it? 3 adders so far.
Well, the good thing was we saw one which we thought might have been an adder, and then the one we did see made us confirm the one we first saw was an adder.
It was an adder.
Because it looked the same.
In fact, it might have been the biggest one we saw. The first one. It was moving quite fast anyway. It was lively.
I've seen bigger. I've seen massive ones.
Yeah, I haven't. That's a big deal for me, seeing all these adders.
Yeah.
So anyway, we survived that. There's not much water in the burn today. It's not been raining much, and the path was good and dry in the end as well. I got away with it with my choice of footwear and clothes, but I'll duff it next time, no doubt. It's a gamble. It's a gamble, as it always is. When it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And we've got the wonderful view, which we're just going to run back down this path here. Okay, that'll do for today, I think.
Yep.
Over and out.
Over and out.
So at the end of our run, we've stopped, and we've come across my daughter Ailey and her dogs, Casper and Theo. And Theo, Casper is lovely. Theo does this when I say his name, okay? Theo! Theo! That's a good howl. It's like a little wolf. You're like a little wolf, Theo. You're a little wolf. You know you've got a wolf in there. There's a wolf in that little body. What kind of dog was Theo again?
Theo's a Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu, that's right. And Casper?
Casper's a Maltese.
Maltese. So Theo is the Shih Tzu with an inner wolf. You tell him, Theo. You tell him. There we go.